Hello and welcome back to another FIFA 21 player review. Today's player review is for the level 30 card, Ander Herrera. For me, I think this will be my last player review of FIFA 21. I only really have another 3 videos planned for Ultimate Team after this, and then it'll be moving into pro clubs and other video games. So without further ado, let's get into this. On the screen you can see the stats that I got with Herrera. So I played 5 games in Champs, I scored 5 goals and assisted 4. So next we're going to be looking at the team that I played him in. And this is the team that I played Herrera in. So I played him as a box-to-box midfielder in the 5-3-2 with the strong link to Kimpembe and then the soft links to Klaus, Essien and Volland. So next we're going to be looking at the gameplay of his goals and assists, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, so now we're into the gameplay section for Ander Herrera, and 20 minutes into his debut he did score, and that was that for that match. And as you'll see, I leave the stats in for every single game at the end, so if you want to slow that down, then please do. And as you can see, Herrera on his left foot, a nice little finesse into the sort of bottom left hand corner, not really, but that's that. And then we're into the third game, I believe, and as you can see, to be honest, you'll see a couple chip shots that were Herrera assists, and I think this Herrera card's a weird one for me because I find him really good, but at the same time sort of average, and it's that weird dynamic that he's sort of really good one game and then just solid another. But I think the one big problem I had was his pace. Sometimes he just felt like he was running through treacle, and it was just so painful when you're trying to sprint away and he's sort of there just being caught up by anyone and everyone. But as you can see, just won a penalty. I found his agility and balance actually really good, and whether that's because of the engine chem style, most likely, but he did actually feel really agile on the ball. And as you can see, I do score a penalty with him. He has 87 pens. You can see that where he was actually aiming, it didn't really go, but that is pretty much just FIFA 21 summed up, especially as I've lost many penalty shootouts simply because the reticle doesn't work properly. But as you can see there, another assist from Herrera to Volland, and another one. That is an absolutely disgusting chip. I just saw that Volland scored 5 in that game. Honestly, if you missed out on Volland, you've missed out on the best striker. I'll leave my review in the top right hand corner for Kevin Volland's team of the season, as Herrera sneaks in that shot into the bottom corner, and I believe this is the last clip of the gameplay, basically the same finish. So I shall be back in a second. Now that you've seen the gameplay for Herrera, I want to talk about chem styles that you can use for him and play styles. And as with all my player reviews, I'll leave the in-game boosts as separate little screens. So for me, I think there's 4 different ways you can play him. I think you can put an engine on him and use him as a box to box, or an attacking midfielder And then I think you can apply an anchor to use him as a more defensive midfielder or a centre back, and then that's the same with the shadow. So for me, I think it's all relative to how you want to play Herrera. Obviously, team of the season Kimpembe, really great link to Herrera. Team of the season Mbappe is another. So it's all dependent on how you want to play and who you have in your team. Because I think if you have, say, centre back Mateus, and if you swap Mateus and Herrera, it wouldn't be a bad option. But then I'd definitely recommend either an anchor or a shadow if you're going to play him at centre back, and then an engine to play him more as a midfielder, especially box to box like I did. Now I'm just going to talk about the pros and cons of this Herrera card, so I will start off with the pros. For me, the pros of this Herrera card has to be his passing, his defending, and then if we're looking at physical, his 98 stamina, because it allows him to be a box-to-box midfielder, but also his 92 reactions and his 93 composure. And the cons for me to this Herrera card, I'd only really say there's two. The first is his pace. For me, even with an engine, I don't know if it's because his sprint speed is only 85 once the engine's applied, but for me it just felt like he was running through treacle half the time. And then the other con to this card is the fact that he just can't jump. He has 74 jumping, 69 heading accuracy, and for someone who's 6 foot, according to EA, he just simply cannot jump. So now we move on to the ratings out of 10. So I'll give each individual stat a rating out of 10, and then I will give him an overall out of 10. So I have given his pace a 7 out of 10, his shooting an 8 out of 10, his passing a 9 out of 10, his dribbling a 9 out of 10, his defending a 9 out of 10, and his physical a 9 out of 10. Overall, I would have to give this card an 8 out of 10. I think for me, even though he's 4-star, 4-star, high work rates, he's just sort of a really solid player, but he doesn't do anything special, even though his goals and assists far exceeded what I expected. But I don't know, I don't feel like he has a massive impact on the game. I only find really my attackers and defenders have the biggest impact. There's games where Herrera just absolutely bossed it, there's games where Essien bosses it, and this is the problem I have with FIFA. There's just no consistency, and I personally also believe this Herrera card should have been probably a 94 at this stage of the game, but that's just how I would run FIFA. So it's been over a month now since I suggested that you take Herrera from level 30, and do I stick by that? Yes, I definitely do still stick by my decision over a month ago. Obviously now we know that the Liga and team of the season pretty much is just PSG players, but I don't think it's just the links that he offers. He is actually also a very solid card in game, and I think his versatility is just another massive positive, as you can play him at centre back, you can play him as a holding midfielder, you can play him as a box to box or an attacking midfielder, and that's just something he has on Lodi and Origi, that you can play him in multiple positions. So yes, I do still stick by what I said over a month ago, with taking Herrera as the level 30 storyline card. I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, drop a like, comment down below if you took Herrera from level 30, and if you're new around here, do consider subscribing. But for now, I'll see you in the next one.